Welcome to the KYP podcast, a show about letting go of things that prevents you from reaching your dreams and being yourself unapologetically. My name is Danny. I'm here with my co-host
KYP James.
Kevin G.
And we have another special guest in Toronto today, currently 12-0, professional boxer with 5 knockouts on a streak of 3 knockouts, trainer and the founder of the boxing club. Welcome, Helmand, the Savage Prince.
Thank you guys for having me. It's great to be here, and I'm just excited.
I know you were very passionate about talking about overcoming all odds, because that injury, for most people, it's life-ending. They just sit in a chair. They're like, fuck it, I can't do anything anymore in life. And so in this episode, we do really want to talk about your journey going through those injuries. So how we're going to separate the episode is we're going to talk about your life before the injury, you know, how you're on a high and suddenly life hits and you hit rock bottom. Number 2, we're going to talk about the instinct to fight and to quit, well, mostly to quit in the face of overwhelming odds. And number 3, we're going to just go around talking about how you draw strength to continue pushing forward and really your future plans in boxing in your life. And so tell us more about how was your life before all of this?
To be honest, like, my life is like a movie, you know, like there's been a lot of like ups, a lot of downs. You know, I grew up, I had a pretty much like I would say a blessed life. You know, I grew up in Czech Republic. I was born here, grew up in Czech Republic. We went to private school. I was competing on the national team, so I was traveling, and you know, we went on family vacations. We had a nice life, you know. And when I was 18, I came back here. I was training for the Olympics. Didn't work out. You know, last minute, the Afghan Olympic team decided not to send anybody. And I wanted to go for Afghanistan just because I wanted to be the first Afghan Olympian at the time, right? So, and then I discovered, like, I've always been training people as a side gig and, you know, just an extra income. And since the 18, 19, I started training people in Mississauga and the GTA, and from there I grew a huge network, and I loved it. And I was training people for a while, and you know, you learn a lot in business when you mess up. So over the years, I was training people and building my business, and then still trying to compete. And now, you know, after I lost my father in 2015, I had to close my training business. I went to Czech Republic, and you know, after my father passed away, we had to sell property and deal with all the stuff in Czech Republic. And I speak, out of everyone in my family, I speak the best Czech.
Oh, really?
So I can understand. And we were dealing with, you know, the lawyers over there. And when I had nothing to do in Czech Republic, that's when I went back to the gym, because that's my safety place. Like, that's my place that brings me happiness. So I went to my old amateur club and started training. I had my last amateur fight, won by knockout, and then my coach at the time was like, hey, man, you got to turn pro, because if you don't turn pro now, you're never going to turn pro. So I ended up turning pro in December 19, 2015.
2015.
I won by knockout. The second fight in March, I won by knockout, and then I ended up fighting for the Czech title.
Oh, wow.
The summer of 2016, and I won the title. It was a 10-round fight. Broke my wrist in the 4th round. Continued the fight. I boxed 6 more rounds with the broken wrist, and I came back to Canada in end of September 2016, and then fought in the Hershey Center a few times, and just life just kept. When I came back to Canada, I was like, I'm boxing full time, and I was still training some people here and there, but I went to China to open up a gym. Before that, actually, in 2017, I injured my right thumb again after in a fight, and I got into the construction business. Just to because I had nothing I was suspended from boxing for my injury, and I got into construction business. I was installing windows and doors with a friend. Yeah, we did really we did very well for such a short time. But when the opportunity came to go to China and open up a gym there, I jumped on it. Right, so I didn't even look back. I'm like, screw the construction. I'm never picking up a tool again. I'm like, let's go. Yeah, and went to China. We opened up a gym, and we got about 300 members in 3 months.
Oh, wow.
In China. I was
That's
in Hangzhou.
a big market.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was crazy. I was charging $250 an hour
Oh
for
yeah.
training over there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
A lot of people are the fitness craze hit China like
Yeah.
no other.
This was pre-COVID though. This was in 2019.
That
right?
they were booming.
Yeah, this is when everybody had money in China. Like it was nice, and we ended up making a show, like a boxing show, where I did my own promotion.
That's so sick.
We promoted the gym with the show, and we had 660,000 live streams on NetEase, and we had 2 million total views on NetEase.
Oh wow.
Wow. And I was all over. Like after the fight, I was in China. Like people were coming up to me, like, "Hey man, you're the boxer. Can I take a picture?" I was like,
awesome.
How'd you find the level of boxing in China? Are they still
so they didn't like. I was like when I first got there, I ended up sparring with the Hangzhou provincial team, and some of the guys there were on the national team.
Okay.
And it was in the Jiajiang. It was the Jiajiang provincial team because that's the province there. So I ended up like, because the style was kind of similar to the style in Czech Republic.
Okay.
Where it was very like kind of like just very amateur style. So I was able to pick guys apart, and then after they started putting me with bigger guys, like it's not guys my weight. But when I wanted to have a professional fight, they didn't allow me to fight a Chinese guy.
Right.
For the first fight.
Okay.
So I fought a Spanish guy, and it was a good fight, good turnout, and I ended up winning. I was actually injured before the fight, but I went ahead with it, and then when I had to come back to Canada because I was injured. And then the whole China deal ended up falling apart.
Yeah,
I got kicked out of my ownership in the gym too. So it was that was a hard time, but overcame, and I had to overcome my injury. And then I went to Czech Republic to open up a business with some friends. It was a marketing business, and then COVID happened. So when I came back from Czech Republic, like 2020, I was supposed to fight in Czech Republic, fight in Poland. Opened my own business with some of my best friends. Nothing worked out. Came back, and then I got the whole world shut down. And 2021, but 2020 actually, I opened up a training business at the Boxers Club in Canada, and I just gave it everything. I gave it a lot of energy, and I built up a nice network, and I enjoyed it. Like being living downtown. You know how it is, Kevin. Like you live here. It's just a fun scene, especially in the summertime, right? Socially, your network, and just So we enjoyed that. We've built up a good reputation, a good network of people and friends. And I was supposed to fight in 2021 in where was it? I think it was Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Then the show got canceled, and I ended up losing my brother to cancer. Yeah, he was 30 years old. That hit hard. And from there, I was in a rush to open up a gym very fast because like being a trainer, especially in Toronto, like you can make a lot of money, but the goal is always to open up a gym, right? Because you wanna make money without your time. You want to open a gym where people come, they pay you a membership, and so I can sleep and make money, right? But that's the goal, right? Yeah. And so I was in a rush to open up a gym before the new year, and lack of sleep. Just, I guess, exhaustion.
Right.
I ended up missing an exit when I was coming back home from the gym, and I ended up spinning out of control. I hit the guardrail at 140 kilometers an hour and flew out my sunroof. Oh. Flipped in the air, landed on one leg, broke 3 pelvic bones, destroyed my knee, ruptured bladder. That was actually the most difficult thing, the ruptured bladder.
Oh, wow.
And like detached urethra. That was like disgusting. Yeah. Blood everywhere. And fractured scapula, split my head open. Yeah, the recovery for that was horrible.
It must have been great, at that young age when you found boxing to be able to channel that energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. For me, it wasn't until I got expelled in 7th grade that I really like took boxing serious, and I was like, okay, I gotta channel this energy properly, and I started competing. And from there I never got in trouble again in school. But it's kind of crazy story. I got expelled from I went to a private school. I got expelled from the private school for fighting. I was actually defending my brother, and from three juniors. Like I was in 7th grade, my brother was in 9th grade as a freshman, and 2 juniors and 1 senior ended up attacking him. And I just had this spidey sense because all the schools were attached together. Oh. And I went upstairs and I saw my brother bleeding, and I ended up beating the shit out of all these guys. Wow. But I got expelled too. So me and the 3 guys got expelled. My brother he didn't get in trouble because they punched him with brass knuckles.
Oh, wow.
And then yeah, I went to the Christian school after I started boxing, and I ended up, getting really good grades, behaving perfectly. So I got in 11th grade, I got accepted back into the school I got expelled from, and I graduated.
They wanted you back. They wanted you back.
Yeah.
So were you competing all throughout your schooling? Like
Yeah, so
amateur
from
for
8th
school?
grade onwards, I was competing. I was on the national team in Czech Republic. I was pretty much just a full-time, you could say like semi-professional athlete at that point, and yeah.
Wow. And you mentioned your uncle. So is boxing in the family or?
To be honest, my uncle had a passion for boxing, but he never competed. He's a police officer
Okay.
in
Okay.
Toronto, and they've always had a passion for boxing. But I'd say I'm the only person in my family that actually
Pursued it
boxes,
as a sport, right?
yeah. Being an Afghani, born in Canada.
Is it common?
Like honestly, there's not that many Afghan athletes because, parents are very traditional. They want you to study, get a job, become a doctor. That's every parent's dream,
That's true. Yeah.
So it's just that you don't really see athletes pursuing their
Right.
dreams, right? So
And was your first kind of introduction to professional boxing, did that happen in Czech Republic or did it happen?
so when I was here, like I would still spar with like some people, like when I was training with my uncle.
Okay.
But when I went to the boxing gym in Czech Republic, we had a bunch of like national champions, and it was a very prestigious amateur club. And when I started competing, then I got really good, and I started catching up to all the guys that were better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, I was on the national team, and it's kind of weird. It's really interesting. Like I was a Canadian boxing in the Czech Republic. I had a temporary residence, not a permanent residence there.
Okay.
And I got so much support from the Czech government to compete.
Oh, wow.
And then when I came back to Canada over here, I realized like, hey, Canada's expensive. Like, they don't fund, like the national team doesn't fund you, the provincial team doesn't fund you. You got to pay everything. And like in Czech Republic, whenever we went to like compete outside of Czech Republic, like Germany, Macedonia, Serbia, they would pay everything, and I was not even their citizen. They would pay for me. It's crazy. Small country like Czech Republic, they could do that, but Canada, they can't support their athletes.
So the boxing scene in Canada, is that just like is that not a priority for?
Honestly, I just
Canadian
think that
government,
they don't prioritize the funding properly, or they
Right.
don't distribute the funding properly, and a lot of greed in Canada, I guess. But it's really weird. I was shocked because a country like Czech Republic that's not as economically developed as Canada has better support for their athletes than a well-established country like Canada. So I see some of these amateur boxers that like in the local scene here, some of them are national champions, like multiple time national champions. They've competed in the Olympics, but they don't get the support that they need, and they gotta like stress out about they want to go compete in a tournament. They got to come up with like 10, 15 grand, 20 grand at a time,
right.
in order to compete, or
Wow.
they can't go to the tournament. It's like, it's crazy. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, we're in Canada, we should be able to get funding. Like this is insane. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So
That's
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to know, like, do you feel it's because boxing is not really a priority for kind of those countries like Canada, right?
Would you say it's not as big of a sport in?
I don't know. I think I heard that this is like the problem in a lot of sports in Canada. Like I think certain teams get better funding, certain programs get better funding, but it's very hard for an athlete to come up in Canada.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
We were actually speaking to overseas basketball player yesterday, and he was telling us, outside of the NBA, most professional basketball players have, they do it part-time and they have a job on the side. Is that very much, what you see for boxers coming up as well?
Yeah, boxers, I think we got it the worst because it's a very individual sport, even though you have a whole team behind you, but you fight by yourself. You deal with the consequences of winning, losing, everything that's happening around you. Like you got to deal with it by yourself. And then when you're not fighting, especially as a professional, you're not making money. So you got to deal with that. You don't, as a professional basketball player, when you're not competing, you're still making money. Guys get injured, they're still making money, right? And they have a plan after their career, right? But a lot of boxers, when you step away from the light, it's very dark, and they go, sometimes if you're not mentally tough, like if you don't have that support system, You can just, I know a lot of guys that are not doing well right now and have not been doing well for a while. From, they finish their career and they just go into the shadows and suffer. So
I wanted to, because you mentioned about winning and losing and all of these different aspects of boxing, right? Currently at 12-0 and 5 knockout record and on a streak, especially the streak. Do you feel the pressure of constantly having to perform to keep up that record is very exorbitant on your mind?
Honestly, like Kevin, you were at one of my fights, right? For some reason, when I fight in Canada, there's a lot more stress, and I feel like I'm not myself at certain times. But because I'm like worried about protecting that, I don't want people to beat me.
And
so
being at the fight, you were definitely like the local hometown hero.
Yeah.
Like the reaction from the crowd when you walked out compared to the other fighters of that day. Yeah.
So there's that aspect, but then also like I've been really focused on my strength training recently for the last year. And that fight that you guys saw, that was the first fight with the new strength trainer. So we didn't really develop the strength, right? But now it's at a different level. And the fight in November, I believed in my power, stopped the guy in the first round. Wow. The fight in December, believed in my power. And I was like, I'm just gonna walk through this guy, and he was pretty good. He was 12-0, and I ended up knocking him out in the third round.
How would you describe your fight style? Are you like a power puncher? Speed?
So I've always been a fast boxer, and I never gave myself time to set my feet and throw some power shots. I could throw power shots, but I didn't really throw them too much. Right? I was just boxing. Now, because I got into a crazy car accident.
It was a car accident, yeah.
I got into a crazy car accident. I flew out my sunroof. I was ejected from my sunroof. Like I went through the glass.
Yeah.
And I flew in the air. And in the air, I did a somersault and I landed on my one leg. And the only reason why I landed on one leg is because the glass from the sunroof hit the left leg. So when I was in the air, I was like kind of like, my legs, one leg was forward, one leg was back. And when I landed, everything landed on that one leg, the right leg. And everything just exploded. I broke my 3 pelvic bones. I destroyed my LCL, MCL, and ACL. Wow. And then from the pain, because I was so happy, like when I landed on my foot, I was so happy I landed on my foot. But then the pain was so bad, it was just like an explosion. Then I jumped back, and that's when I broke my shoulder and split my head open. So yeah, recovery was brutal, and it was an insane time.
But how long did that take? The healing time?
The healing time, it took 6 months, like before I could just be normal again.
Okay.
Then I tried to compete after 6 months.
All right.
So I was trying to train for a camp and I couldn't. Like it was just the running was bad. My weight was high, a lot of pain. But then I managed to so I got into an accident in November 2021. By September, I started, I got offered to take a fight in November 2022. And I'm like, I got 8 weeks. Like the opponent was a perfect opponent for me. I'm like, you know what? I could beat that guy with one hand. Let me go do it. So I ended up, it was just the week of the fight I could finally run 3 kilometers without pain. Okay. And I was so happy. It was such an accomplishment. So that fight was a crazy fight. And then I ended up going to training camp with Adrian Broner and sparred him, 4 division world champion. Yeah. So, and then after that, the momentum just kept going. So I fought in February. On the United show, you guys were there. You were there.
United, yeah.
That was a good fight. It was a rough fight. So, but yeah, back to what I was saying about the style. Like after I got my car accident, I stopped using my legs because I wasn't really mobile.
Yeah.
So I started sitting down on my punches more, and then all the strength training, everything. Like my accident was actually, I hate to say it, but it was one of the best things that could have happened to me for my career and just for my boxing style and just my life. Because it helped me focus on okay, I was moving around too much before. When I lost the ability to move around, I started sitting down on my punches. I started I started punching harder now, and then now when I got my legs back, I'm moving more. But when I sit down and I punch, right? So it's it benefited me a lot, more than it damaged me. Because in the beginning I thought I was I was so pissed off and I was so upset. I was like, oh, my career's over. I'm never gonna be the same again. But now, and it's because of hard work too. Like I pushed myself through the pain, and I've overcome the injury. So it's a blessing, and I'm just grateful for that.
And in terms of, let's say, your team, right? Because you said boxing is, yes, a single person sport, but you still have your team supporting you behind.
Yeah.
Like, do you have like your quick story on how you met them, like how you vetted different teams?
So yeah, it's crazy. I got it starts with the manager, even though I've had some trainers, some coaches with me for a long time, but my manager, before the accident, we were working hard. It was a new relationship. We were trying to get a fight after COVID, right? Because I was in China for a little bit as well.
Oh, really?
Right? And then I got injured, came back to Canada, and then COVID happened, right? And then after COVID happened, we're trying to get a fight back, and I meet my new manager, and we're talking. There's a lot of big contacts that we met, and then my brother passed away in October. That was the month I was supposed to fight, October 2021. And then the next month, I get into an accident, and like everything's like it's dead, So when the fight opportunity came around, and my manager was organizing everything, this new relationship, even though it was we've known each other for so long, it started like coming together. Everything started coming together, and then going to camp with Adrian Broner, and then fighting it in February last year, and then these past 3 fights. I just fought in Dubai. Right. So it's all because, I got people working day in, day out, making sure that, hey, this guy's got sponsorship. This guy's got, this person wants to put him on his show, different stuff. So it starts with the manager. Then I got my head coach. I got my assistant coach. I got a strength coach. I got a mind coach, psychologist. I got a whole physio team at Active Care. So yeah, I should name, my manager's Chris Creatura, and my head coach is Raf Delgado, assistant coach is Glenn Urjas, and strength coach Charlie Thompson. But yeah, it's a good solid team. I got Andrew Candido as my osteopath, Onika Green as my psychologist. And yeah, there's so many more people too, right? There's regenerative medicine doctors. There's even a team in Miami, but I haven't been to Miami in a little bit, so we're keeping that on hold for now. But definitely gonna go to Miami soon for a training camp.
Where would you say you were at in your fight career? When that injury happened, were you kind of still starting out? Were you on the rise?
So after my fight in China, I had a herniated disc right before the fight. I won. I have a lot of attention because a lot of when you go from Canada. Before that, I was in Czech Republic, Canada. In between, I fought in England on York Hall, which is a big network as well. I was on Channel 4 British TV. Then I come back to Canada, fight in I think it was Rogers Network, and then I go to China and I fight on that big platform. I was very hot. And I got offered to fight Rolando Romero, Rolly Romero.
Oh, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, I got offered to fight him. I got offered to fight Frank Martin, who's the number 2 in the world at 135 pounds. I got offered to fight a lot of big names, for good money, and I couldn't take nothing because I was injured. When I was coming back after COVID, and then the fight got canceled because of COVID in Nova Scotia, I think it was October. Yeah. Then I got into my car accident, and I was just like, oh man, I didn't get a chance to show people who I am. Everybody knows everybody who knows me, especially in Canada and in Czech Republic, knows I'm very talented and I'm very tough. There's a lot of pros that were, even when I was 19 years old, I was sparring with world champions. Wow. And Steve Muller is a world champion from Canada. Sparring when I was 19 years old, I was doing 12 rounds with him. A lot of the amateur guys that I spar with here, they can't keep up 12 rounds with me. They go 3 rounds and they switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of pros that were coming up. And when I was an amateur coming up, I spar with these guys. Those pros are not active anymore, but I still am. There's a lot of guys that were amateurs that were sparring with me when I was a pro. Now they're doing very well because they've been consistent. Right. And now I've caught up again. Now I'm back to being who I know I am. Right. So when I got to the car accident, I was I didn't give a chance to prove myself to everyone. So that, and then when the doctors tell you, hey, you should think of another career because pro boxing is out of the question. I was non-weight bearing on the right knee and non-weight bearing on the right shoulder. So I pretty much couldn't use half my body.
Wow.
And then I had the ruptured bladder and the detached urethra. you know, like, this is why I say gratitude. I keep emphasizing gratitude. When you drink something and you are worried about, you know, going to the bathroom because your bladder can't handle it.
Yeah.
Simple things like that, like little like the pain for like that recovery for the damaged bladder and the urethra. Like, I'm so grateful every day. I can drink this water and I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
like just a simple piss, like in the daytime. You appreciate it because
You take it for granted, right?
I had 3 surgeries down there. It was like, not easy. So, yeah, that's one thing that the injury taught me was gratitude. And then when I started getting better, I was like, I want to prove to people that I can fight still.
Yeah.
So I tried to fight in July 2022, only like 6 months after the injury. Did not work. I wasn't even half myself, right? So I ended up like going into depression. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna fight again. I'm done. I'm just gonna be a trainer, you know, just focus on my training business. And then the call came September. Like, hey, do you want to fight this guy, Dylan Rushton? I'm like, oh man, I beat the shit out of this guy with sparring like years ago. Of course I'll fight this guy. This guy's nothing. I ended up fighting that guy, but a week before the fight, I found out I couldn't wear a knee brace.
Okay. Oh, in the
the
fight,
match?
you're not allowed
Yeah,
to.
the athletic commission in Ontario said I can't wear it. I was like, what? So I was so worried about my knee exploding or, you know, getting out of place
Of course.
that I was not really using my legs. But in the first round, I'm throwing a combination and I get clipped. I think it was the second round, I get clipped. And then I started going into like a dark, like in the middle of a fight, I'm like having a conversation with myself. I'm in the corner, I'm like, oh, you fucked up big time. You took this fight. You idiot. Why would you rush it? You're going to lose to this bum right here. All your friends, all your clients are here. Like, look around. They're all going to say, hey, I train with a guy who's 7-1. No, 6-1. No, yeah, 7-1. You know, like,
Yeah.
how's that attractive?
You already
know,
picture it
like
now,
your
yeah.
business is over. You're done. I was like, oh, man. So, yeah, in the middle of like the rounds, I was talking to myself, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck the game plan. You're not going to box this guy. You're just going to fight this guy. Hit this guy as many times as you can. And I did. You know, from round 3 and on, I beat the shit out of this guy. And it was the fight of the night. I threw a lot of punches. This guy was bleeding everywhere. As soon as I saw the blood, I was like, okay, I got this guy.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then, yeah, that was on DAZN too. So the story from that, like, I was on the Toronto Sun, the comeback, you know, people talk about the tragedy. So from that fight, everybody started talking about me, right? And like, it was, a lot of people were like, hey, man, I'm just so inspired because you had a life-threatening, life-altering accident. You went 50 weeks, fought, you know, like, and professional boxing is not easy. Anybody, like, even that guy who I fought wasn't that good, but he was a pretty good contender. And, you know, when you're fighting another man who wants to, like, win, he has financial gain to beat you, it's not an easy job, especially after injury. So did that, ended up sparring with 4-division world champion Miami, just randomly, because I actually was going on, my client was going on vacation, and he's like, hey, bro, I don't want to just fall off our training program. Can you come with me? I'll pay for the trip. Just come and train me in Miami. I'm like, you know what? I'm down. Let's go.
It's Miami. Come on.
Right. So we went there and like I was training him in the mornings. I'm like, hey, let me just go to 5th Street Gym and let me I brought my boxing gear with me. I'm like, let me just go spar. Like, just check it out or train. So I went to train and they're like, hey, do you want to spar this guy? Like, there's a couple pros. I ended up sparring and like I obviously did very well. And the next day when I was training my client at 5th Street, and 5th Street's a very famous gym. Like Muhammad Ali's trainer used to own it.
Oh, wow.
I see.
So I get to the gym with my client. I train him, and the guy goes, "Hey, bro, do you want to spar with Adrian Broner? He's looking for sparring, like paid sparring, like a week. You want to do it?" And I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose the price of that, but I was like, "Hey,
That's a crazy opportunity.
I was only supposed to stay for like 5 days in Miami. I ended up staying for like a week and a half.
Wow.
For those who don't know, Adrian Broner was like Floyd Mayweather's prodigy.
He was the
point.
little Mayweather, basically.
Yeah.
That's what you're calling him, right? He had a few bad losses. He had a what would you say, like, I guess, mental health crisis.
Went off track, partying.
The fame got to him, right?
Yeah.
So, but very talented. Even when I was sparring with him, I learned a lot of shit, you know. So, yeah, super grateful for that opportunity.
And now that we've talked about a lot of the post injury, right?
Yeah.
I do really want to dive more during the injury, like how you felt. And I think, let's say, when the doctor told you that you weren't going to be able to recover or you won't be able to fight for, let's say, the next 6 months, a year, Like, what was the first thing that went into your mind?
You know, honestly, like, I'm so grateful for like my actual choices from the day they operated on me. Like the only day they gave me like painkillers was from the initial accident. They gave me morphine.
Like the day of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just when it happened, because probably a lot of pain, right? But when they during the hospital stay, like they're asking me like, "Do you want morphine?" I'm like, "No, I want to feel this." And especially when they operated on my knee and my shoulder after, I was like, I did the standard procedure, like the morphine, whatever it was. Then I was like, I don't want any more painkillers. I'm like, I have to feel this. And like, I went on a vegan alkaline diet. I was like, I don't want my body to waste any energy on digesting this food. I just want to get the nutrients and I want to focus on recovery. And I was doing a lot of visualization, like going into my head and like imagining the stitches in my body like repairing itself. And like, bro, I recovered fast. Like,
Well,
about,
6
like,
months, right? After
not even 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, I was supposed to be at St. Michael's Hospital for 6 weeks. I was there for 2 weeks. 1 week,
Whoa.
then operation, and then 1 week. They sent me to the rehab hospital. What was it? I think Bridgestone, whatever it was, right? Bridgepoint. They sent me to rehab hospital. They want me there for 5 weeks. I lasted there a week. I did a week. As soon as I could wipe my own ass and kind of hop, I'm like, I'm doing the rest of this recovery at home.
Yeah.
They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Because I had a whole, like, I used to train, I was training people downtown in my condo, right? So it was a loft. Upstairs, I turned the whole loft into a gym. I had weights and everything and bag, all that stuff, right? I was well equipped.
That was sick. Yeah.
So when I got home, they told me like, don't exercise, like just take it easy, wait for the physio. I started working out like I think 2 or 3 days after.
Yeah.
You know, just a little small exercise,
felt
just
good,
movement.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then every day, like I was moving and staying positive, I had a great day. The days I wasn't moving, being lazy and being negative, the worst day imagined. Like everything can go wrong. So that experience, it taught me like the benefit of positivity and just not allowing certain situations to ruin your whole day, right? So it made me very powerful.
Is there a big difference from rehabilitating from an injury with the purpose to come back and perform versus rehabilitating just to kind of get back to normal?
Honestly, I think they both tie in well because everybody.
A lot of doctors will tell you, you know, just rest or do limited exercises. You know.
Honestly, I think I don't want to diss like the health industry, but a lot of the doctors you see, like they're not in shape. They're not in the best shape. So they don't understand the power of being in shape and the power of training, right? And eating healthy. You know, I know a lot of doctors that, you know, they don't have the best diets, right? But I think everybody's fighting for something. So you should have that mentality of, you know, you get in a car accident, you can't walk for a bit. You got to get in the habit of, hey, I got to fight because you're fighting for your life. You know, you want to fight for your happiness. You want to fight to look good. You want to fight to, you know, enjoy life, right? So you got to treat it like a fight. You know, and for me, when I got into the accident after they did the operations, I'm like, I got 8 weeks to get better. And literally, I got home, I ditched the crutches after the first week.
Wow.
Right? So, and then I started moving a little bit and trying to train some clients here and there. And even I was trying to train some clients. I had the knee brace on. I had a sling, and I was still training clients with one hand.
That's crazy.
But I couldn't do much. But it was fun. And some clients, they're down. They're like, "Hey man, just tell me what to do." I was like I got like my clients, like they're all like family too, you know, because it's a community that we have, right? And just like when you build a lifestyle, like I got into a crazy car accident, but they were like suffering with me. They're like, "Hey man, like we're all down. We're not training, you know." So that's another thing that helped me get back in shape and get back to who I am a lot faster.
Do you only work with like other kind of professional athletes?
No,
or average Joes?
I have no professional athletes that I train.
Okay.
Most of my clients are, you know, dentists, doctors, lawyers,
Your network, basically.
guys who own
For fitness, right,
you know, shout out to Natter, you know, the guy owners of Silent H, just restaurants. Yeah, I got like the, you know, the, what do you call it, nightclub industry.
Right.
Got to train a lot of people in that industry, and just it's a good network of people, and we're all striving. We're using boxing as a positive outlet to better ourselves.
Everybody's welcome to.
I think everybody on the planet should box Because if you box, you'll be more respectful because you'll know what it's like to get punched in the face. And you don't want somebody to punch you in the face, right? I feel like it's like these days because people are
Social media.
social media,
but also people are so like they feel so protected because of it's a police society, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, if you punch me, I'm gonna call the cops on you. They're more likely to be disrespectful, right, to you for no reason, right? So I think if everybody understood the power of humans, like getting punched in the face, they would think twice before disrespecting people, especially road rage.
Well, like Mike Tyson said it, like the internet has made people way too comfortable in disrespecting people and without getting punched in the face.
Oh yeah, the internet's made people tough, like very tough.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can be behind a computer screen and talk shit to a guy that you would never even look at. You know,
Exactly.
You couldn't even look him in the eyes in person, right? So,
But I wanted to get now into like, overcoming the odds, right? Because when it comes to a challenge or anything in life, most people, they rely on the professional advice of everyone. And let's say you take a look at Steve Jobs, you look at all these other people that told him what you're doing is not possible, what you're doing is not viable. For you, like, what are the first step to take for you to tell yourself that everything you're doing is going to be possible?
honestly, I think that just comes from like my the way I am. I've always been a person who doesn't listen to everybody around me. Like I'll take everybody's advice, but when I have a plan and I have something set on my mind, I don't care. I'm very relentless. I don't stop until I get it. And with this injury, and the accident, trying to overcome it, there was a lot of things that I was already knowledgeable in, right? Like supplement intake. I knew exactly what supplements I needed to take in order to recover faster.
Okay.
And a little example would be like, I had a damaged knee. I took shark cartilage pills. Shark cartilage pills, right?
Okay, what does that do?
Honestly, it helped. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but especially with the pain, it helped. Like, I guess, not numb the pain, but like the more I was taking the shark cartilage pills, the less pain I was getting in my knee.
Okay.
Right. And there was a lot of positive benefits with the shark cartilage pills. Right. And there's other supplements like Dollar E's and stuff, right, that were helping my inflammation in those areas. Right. So
does it help to be open-minded to like the different treatments that exist out there?
Oh man, I did PRP on my knee. I did this special laser on my knee. I'm very hooked up. I have a lot of good friends and clients that own these regenerative medicine clinics, and I got VIP treatment everywhere I went. So I had an advantage over most people because I had all the tools I needed to recover faster. Right, like PRP is not cheap. Like you're looking at like $700-800 a session.
A session, yeah.
Right, and that's with a good PRP because there's a lot of bad PRP out there too. Like some guys will just they don't know how to use the PRP treatment properly, right? So you got to make sure you got a good doctor that's qualified. So I had that, and also I keep bringing it back to gratitude. Like there was days where things weren't working well, and I would be so pissed off. But then there's I started to like see the silver lining, where I'd be like taking a shower, and I'm like, hey, I can stand up in the shower. I'm grateful because in the beginning I had to sit down while I was taking a shower. It's the most annoying thing ever, there was that, and just every day that something was going wrong, I was just like, hey, take a step back. Not too long ago, you couldn't wipe your own ass. Chill out. It's gonna get better.
Find like the silver lining.
Yeah, and everything. And then the more you do that, the more positive things come, right? Like I'm not gonna preach about the law of attraction. Hey guys, follow me. This is how you make $1 million, right? But because I haven't made $1 million yet. But I'm just saying, like for my injury, I was very positive, and being positive, it allowed my body to be happy and perform better. Right, because if you're negative and you're down, your body's not gonna wake up with energy and push yourself to do things that you're like. For example, increase your mobility. You're not gonna increase your mobility if you're like feeling sorry for yourself and not moving. Right, so if you're happy and you believe, hey, I couldn't lift my arm up like this. Some days it would be up to here, and I'm like, okay, today I'm gonna go up here. Like if I was positive, it would get a lot higher. And some days, if I was negative, I couldn't lift it up off the couch. So that was the power of being grateful and just staying positive.
I want to tap into more of that kind of mental aspect that went into your recovery, because I feel like, a lot of people these days are, I might even use myself as an example. There's this these days there's the idea of the victim,
Mentality.
victimhood mindset, mentality. A lot of people, if they were faced with like, your situation or the odds that you were faced with, would kind of use it as an excuse. Oh, I'm injured, so I give myself a break on this, or I can't do this because of that. Can you talk about how maybe share some insights?
I love the fact that you brought up the victim mentality because being a boxer, you grow up with you try to depend on other people to make your career happen.
Right.
And when things don't work out, a lot of boxers will blame other people. Hey, the promoter fucked me over. My manager fucked me over. My girlfriend, took all my money, or my girlfriend screwed me over. I lost my fight because I was stressed out for my girlfriend, right? Shit like that, right? But for me, I'm very happy that something bad happened to me in 2020. Like I had a lot of betrayal, like within my circle, and it was an event, and when I was using the victim mentality on myself, I realized that using that victim mentality doesn't help you. So I changed from 2020, and I literally, it's not like my accident my injury in China, and things not working out.
Yeah.
I blamed other people, and I was like, oh man, I'm not successful because of other people. And literally in 2020, when I switched and I started opening up my business, and I started being very positive at that moment, things went well, and I changed my whole life. Right around, I moved
more doors.
I moved downtown. More doors opened up. Right, and me and my wife, we were happy. And then tragedy struck. I lost my brother.
Yeah,
got into a car accident. But I still had that same. I was conditioned to still have that same attitude and same mentality. That's why I was able to turn something so bad positive. And then I fought 2022. It was all over the Toronto Sun, and here we are. Just.
And do you feel that hardened mental state really helped you improve your fights, or you really already had that mental fortitude?
I've always had a strong mental fortitude and mentality, but I think that this accident, the horrible circumstance of being paralyzed and not being yourself, it's helped me train harder, helped me just truly believe in myself, and
add to your game
as
well, right? You were saying you had to adapt because certain strengths, or they were still kind of recovering.
Now I'm not I wouldn't say I'm a power puncher. I punch pretty hard, but I'm punching harder because I'm sitting down more faster, and that's because of the injury. Like the time it took to actually use my legs and move, I was forced to be more stationary and trade with guys, right? So. Yeah, just I think the lessons you learn from tragedy, and as long as you're able to condition yourself and use your mental toughness in a positive way, it has huge benefits, right? So
one thing that stands out to me about your story is the mental toughness.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned a lot just now about all of the kind of different setbacks, the hardships, the terrible tragedies that happened. But from the few times I've interacted with you, you've always been very kind of steady-minded, composed, happy guy as well, right? Friendly. I'm curious to know where that comes from. Do you learn these lessons from boxing, or vice versa?
Honestly, man, I don't know. It's just a lot of I've had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me, and I lost my father in 2015, lost my brother in 2021, been screwed over by a lot of people, in business and boxing. Boxing's such a dirty business, and just with life, I've had opportunities, business opportunities, and that it's gone sideways. But one thing I've always stood, I just took it as a lesson, and then stayed positive. Because if you, sit in, what's the word I'm looking for? If you, I guess,
dwell in it.
Yeah, dwell in it, and just keep focusing on that negative outcome and that negative environment, you're only going to attract more negativity and more. You're not going to attract a new opportunity, a better opportunity for you, right? So I just stay positive. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and I don't like to hold grudges, and that's it. I just move on, from people.
And do you think family had a thing with that mental space? Did they support you throughout the journey, your injuries?
So I mean, I'm very lucky. I got a I don't even want to say trophy wife because so many people throw that around, but like I got a ride or die. Like my wife, she's amazing. She's been through it all. We've been together almost 12 years, and she's seen everything. And for like when you have that support system just from the person you see every day, and then you have like very good friends, family, it's very hard to feel lonely. When you have a good support system around you, right? So, and I also have like great clients as well that I learn from, because most of my clients are successful people, and I learn from them. They're like my mentors as well, and then just friends around, just in general. Like I have a very good network.
And now that we're talking about all of this mental fortitude, I know sometimes it must be hard for you to go through it alone, and you probably have a really strong support network or different methods to go through. I want to touch more upon the point of drawing strength to really overpower these odds.
Yeah.
I know you talked a bit about family, you talked about your trainer, but where do you draw a lot of your strength from?
I don't want to sound cliche, like behind every great man there's a great woman, right? But honestly, it's my wife. She's super supportive, and then a lot of times when I'm negative and I'm kind of not in tune with myself, she'll get me back to that headspace. I have good coaches around me. They help, enforce that positive and self-belief. And then I see a sports psychologist about once a month, and Onika Green, and she gives me a bunch of exercises to do, before the fight or before sparring, after sparring, and just little things like conversations that are so powerful that it helps put me in like, okay, this is what I can control. This is what I got to focus my energy on.
Okay. You mentioned growing up, you had that aggression. You're an aggressive kid. From the time I've known you, I've never seen that. You're a very friendly, personable guy, down to earth. I'm curious how those two things can exist at the same time.
That's why they call me the Savage Prince, right? Because right now you met the Prince, right?
Side,
when you meet the Savage, it's a different.
Very good point.
The Prince, everybody likes the Prince. Not too many people like a Savage.
Definitely not your opponents. That's for sure.
Yeah, so that's where it comes from. I mean, because I try to be, I try to be friendly to everybody I meet, and I try to, spread positivity. And I know that. People should know that if you cross me, it's a different story. You'll see another side.
Right. Yeah.
And so, where can we find you?
I mean, you can find me on my Instagram page. It's Savage Prince Official. I train clients downtown and over at Totem. I'm in Mississauga as well at Battle Arts, Sky Fitness. Various locations. I'm all over the city.
And if anybody's interested to maybe attend one of your fights next time, they're in Canada, or even, we might have viewers in Dubai, who knows, or across the world. How do they follow kind of where you'll be fighting next?
Honestly, my Instagram is the best page to follow me because I update that. I use that more than Facebook and other stuff, right? So yeah, that's just, I mean, we post our vlogs and any information. Yeah. And yeah, that's how you'll stay tuned.
Awesome. And I can attest, if you come see Helmand fight, it's definitely a show.
Thank you.
And so, as always, my name is Danny. I'm here with my co-host,
KYP James.
Kevin G.
Savage Prince.
And remember,
to KYP.
Carry your pride, baby.